The hospital ship Solace moved through the black like a lantern adrift on an endless sea. Its hull gleamed white, a red cross painted across the spine, an oath written in color. The crew called it the last neutral ground, a place where war paused long enough for mercy to breathe. Dr. Lian Zhao checked patient logs that mixed every language of the frontier. Human, Verine, Caliph enemies in orbit, but here only patients. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and machine oil. No uniforms passed the airlock. She reminded a soldier. Only humanity. Outside the ports, the stars of Delta Lyra shimmered like dust in cold water. A convoy of UNE frigates held distant guard, their running lights dimmed. Peace under escort fragile, temporary. Zhao felt it every time the hull creaked. Compassion needed armor now. In the mess hall, nurses shared jokes over recycled coffee. An alien medic clicked her mandibles in rhythm, amused by human sarcasm she barely understood. Lian watched them laugh together and allowed herself a thin smile. Maybe the galaxy wasn't lost yet. Bridgewatch was quiet until the contact alarms trilled 3 rising tones that didn't belong. The officer of the deck frowned, checking the scope. Multiple signatures. Varan drive shapes. They're vectoring straight for us. The crew stared. Medical ships weren't targets. Broadcast IFF and the Accord beacon, the captain ordered. The AI repeated it in every major language. This vessel is protected under the Galactic Geneva Convention. Medical status confirmed. Silence answered. Then target lock warnings. Blue plasma lances tore through the dark, hitting the dorsal plates. The Solace shuddered like a living thing struck in the heart. Fire suppression sealed half the decks, but atmosphere hissed away through cracks no human hand could reach. Zhao sprinted down a corridor that was already dying, lights flickering, gravity faltering. She passed patients still strapped to gurneys, their eyes wide. "Keep calm, secure oxygen lines," she shouted, though her throat was raw from smoke. The second volley hit the reactor shielding. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut. Through a viewport, she saw the Red Cross insignia burning off the hull, pieces tumbling into the void. The symbol that meant safety for centuries, gone in seconds. In the final moments, she triggered the auto beacon, a black box pulse aimed at Earth. "This is Solace. We are under attack. Non-combatant. Coordinates." Static devoured her words as the deck rose like a wave beneath her feet. When the transmission reached Earth 23 hours later, it played to a silent chamber of diplomats. No one spoke until Admiral Reyes removed his cap and said quietly, "They hit Solace." The words fell heavier than artillery. News feeds ignited. Billions watched the footage loop. A hospital ship blossoming into light, then darkness. Protests filled the streets from Sao Paulo to Nairobi. Candles lined embassy walls. Humanity wept, then began to plan. The Galactic Council convened. The Varen ambassador called it an unfortunate weapons lock error. The human delegates slid a data pad across the table. Wreckage analysis, heat signatures, deliberate targeting patterns. "Error?" she asked. "We count 36 shots." The council urged restraint. "Investigations must precede retaliation," intoned the speaker. Admiral Reyes stood, eyes shadowed by sleeplessness. "We wrote the accord. We obeyed it." They didn't. He turned and left the chamber without saluting. That night, the UNE Security Council met in a bunker beneath Geneva. Generals, ethicists, even medics from Solace's sister ship. Someone whispered the words that chilled the room. Blind Mercy Protocol, a law older than the fleet itself. It had been drafted after the Martian insurrections, a failsafe for crimes beyond diplomacy. If the sanctity of mercy itself was violated, Earth could answer with overwhelming force, not to conquer, but to remind. It had never been used. Until now. Reyes looked around the table. "We strike their moon. No atmosphere, minimal life, maximum visibility. The message: humanity does not forgive the unforgivable." Silence, then one by one, every delegate raised a hand. Motion passed. The order traveled through encrypted channels to Fleet Command. Engineers rechecked the kinetic drivers, orbital math, and failsafes. Each signature confirmed. Reyes signed last, whispering to the dark, "Forgive us for what comes next." The dawn over Geneva was red, the color of warning lights reflected off cloud. Inside the bunker, screens glowed with orbital data and political statements. Outside, protesters filled the streets, chanting names of the lost. The air itself felt heavier than grief. Admiral Reyes stood before the council, his uniform unpressed, his eyes ringed by fatigue. "We've confirmed deliberate targeting patterns. They knew exactly what they were hitting. A diplomat rubbed her temples. If we answer with force, the council will fracture." "Then let it," Reyes said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried through the room like a weapon drawn. The accord only matters if it's enforced. Around him, heads turned, arguments simmered, old alliances cracked under the heat of outrage. In New York, candlelight vigils spread along the East River. Children placed white paper ships into the water, each bearing a red cross drawn in marker. The tide carried them out, hundreds of tiny Solaces fading into the dark. Across the world, scientists, engineers, and analysts were quietly recalled to duty. The Blind Mercy Project files sealed for a century were reopened. Inside, equations waited like sleeping giants, trajectories, yields, containment models, all labeled for deterrence only. Colonel Vera Nguyen oversaw logistics. "We're not blowing a planet," she told her team. "We're erasing a lie." Her hands trembled as she signed requisitions. She'd trained as a doctor before joining the fleet. This was not medicine, but she treated it with the same precision. In the press, talking heads argued morality. Was vengeance justice? Was silence weakness? Somewhere between philosophy and fury, humanity found consensus. Mercy must have teeth. The phrase became a slogan painted on walls beside the Red Cross. The launch platform rose from the Pacific like a steel archipelago. Pilots rehearsed trajectories and orbit, their simulations ending in silent flashes. They didn't talk about the target. They just whispered names, people they'd known aboard Solace. Reyes walked the catwalk above the command deck. Every monitor showed a countdown he'd started but couldn't stop. "History won't thank us," his aide said quietly. Reyes nodded. "It's not supposed to. History's just the witness." At T-12 hours, the operation brief went to every Allied ship. Orders were sealed, authorization codes locked. Civilians would never see the feed, only the light reflected in alien skies. Somewhere beyond range, the Varan moon hung unaware. The final council session lasted 7 minutes. No speeches, no applause. Each delegate placed a hand on the table and said one word: "I." When the last voice faded, Reyes exhaled and whispered, "Begin." High above the Varan homeworld, Admiral Khaleth paced the bridge of the Zerth Prime. Lights of distant fleets glimmered like scattered jewels. "They'll do nothing," he said, voice low but firm. His officers nodded, confident in centuries of superiority. Humanity? A footnote in galactic history. On the command screens, analysts displayed the faint signature of a UNE fleet moving beyond detection range. "They've split forces," an officer observed. Khaleth waved dismissively. "Minor repositioning. Calculated, but irrelevant. They will not escalate." Meanwhile, diplomats in the council chambers on Varin's capital argued over the incident. "They struck our target," one boasted. "Mistake? Negligible." The room buzzed with laughter. Humanity, in their minds, was incapable of vengeance, too fragile, too sentimental. Fleet crews trained in orbit, eyes on the stars, unaware of the storm gathering just beyond sensor range. The captain of the Zerth Sentinel tapped his claw nervously. "Admiral, the trajectory readings," Khaleth interrupted, voice sharp. "No concern. Human math cannot match ours." Hours passed. Signals of UNE preparations reached the outer sensors. Calith squinted. The readings were unusual, precise but still minor, he assured himself. Posturing, routine, pride, arrogance, and centuries of assumed superiority clouded every mind aboard the flagship. Then from the depths of space, a pinprick of light appeared near the moon. Calculations should have flagged it as harmless. Yet every sensor on the bridge flared as the object accelerated with perfect, impossible precision. Calith laughed, masking the first flicker of doubt. Trick of perspective. Optical anomaly. Watch and see. It passes harmlessly. Crew exchanged glances, tension hiding beneath forced smirks. They would not imagine what was coming. The countdown from the UNE fleet ticked silently in distant orbit. On Varenne screens it appeared as nothing more than a brightening dot. Within minutes the dot became a searing streak of light, its velocity unerring, its purpose undeniable. Then the impact. The moon's crust ruptured in an instant. White-hot veins of energy lanced through its surface. Fractures snaked like lightning, splitting its mass into countless pieces. The explosion radiated outward, throwing debris into orbit in slow, magnificent arcs. A blinding corona spread across space, illuminating the Varenne fleet and homeworld in stark, unforgiving clarity. Ships blinked in sensor overload. The sky itself seemed to crack under the intensity of the silent, impossible destruction. Admiral Calith's laughter died in his throat. Pride turned to shock, shock to disbelief. The humans had done what they said they would. The moon, once a monument of arrogance, was gone, shattered into glittering fragments suspended in orbit, inert but undeniable. For minutes, no one aboard the fleet spoke. The debris spun silently, reflecting the light of the system's star like frozen fire. The enormity of the event sank into every mind. Humanity had acted, and the universe had taken note. Calith finally spoke, voice trembling but still trying to command authority. This cannot be undone. The officers shifted, their confidence shattered. They had assumed humans were predictable, restrained, weak. Now, restraint had become a weapon more fearsome than any fleet. Across the Varenne homeworld, the council watched in stunned silence. History's footnote had burned brightly. Humanity's message was clear. Mercy could be broken. But those who broke it would learn that even the most restrained species could unleash consequences beyond comprehension. The debris spun silently, beautiful and terrifying. No lives lost, no cities destroyed. Yet the psychological weight was crushing. The humans had acted without cruelty, without bloodshed, but with undeniable, cosmic authority. Varenne arrogance had met a force it could not mock. The UNE fleet lingered in orbit, sensors scanning the shattered moon. Fragments glimmered in the void, silent witnesses. No alarms, no cheers. Humanity held its breath. They had acted as promised, swift, precise, unyielding, but the victory was not for celebration. Admiral Reyes watched the monitors, hands gripping the railing. The light of the disintegrated moon painted the hull of the Tianjin in harsh white. "We did what we had to do," he muttered, voice barely audible. "Not for pride, not for revenge, for the sanctity of mercy." Dr. Zhao stood on a quiet deck, recalling the Solace. Hundreds of lives lost in seconds, but justice had a different language now. Humanity had demonstrated restraint by only targeting the uninhabited moon. Yet the weight of action pressed on her chest like gravity. Across the galaxy, Varenne fleets recalculated, regrouped, and sent fragmented messages back home. Pride had been shattered. Disbelief remained. A species that had assumed human weakness now understood the cost of violating sacred agreements. The Council of Planets issued statements, careful in phrasing. Humanity has acted with precision. The implications are clear. Violations of protected accords will be met with consequences that are absolute yet measured. Words on paper, but their weight hung in every system. Back on Earth, the news was met with quiet reflection. Vigils continued, but now the conversation shifted. Humans spoke of responsibility, of restraint, of justice executed without bloodshed. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy watched human morality and power intertwined. Reyes convened his officers. "Operation Blind Mercy is over," he said. Faces were tight with relief and exhaustion. "We sent a message. They know we enforce what we swear to uphold. Remember this feeling. Let it guide our next steps." Zhao walked through empty corridors, feeling the hum of the fleet. Every system blinked quietly, as if the universe itself paused to acknowledge what had happened. She whispered a vow to those lost on Solace. "We honor you, and we do not forget." Across the stars, the debris slowly orbited the Varen homeworld, beautiful, inert, unforgettable. It was a reminder not of destruction, but of restraint wielded with absolute authority, a human statement that echoed far beyond any fleet, any moon, or any system. The galaxy had changed. Silence stretched across channels, broken only by cautious diplomacy. No one doubted humanity's capability again. The story of a single protected vessel and a shattered moon would be remembered for centuries, mercy upheld, and consequences undeniable. Months passed in quiet reflection. Humanity rebuilt its fleet and healed its wounds, but the memory of Solace remained vivid. Streets bore murals, memorials, and candles, each flame a promise that mercy would never again be violated. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Tianjin, staring at the empty sky where the moon had once orbited. No celebration, no triumph, only the weight of responsibility. Humanity had enforced its law, and the galaxy had watched in awe. Dr. Zhao walked among the survivors' families in Geneva. She spoke quietly, listening more than speaking. "They see us differently now," she said, almost to herself. "They know humanity is capable of justice, precision, and consequence." Across the Varen homeworld, shock lingered in every council chamber and fleet command. Their arrogance had been tempered by cosmic demonstration. Humanity had acted not in vengeance, but in assertion of principle, and that knowledge burned deeper than any fire. The debris of the moon spun silently, glittering in orbit. No life had been touched, yet its absence reshaped the system's psyche. Humans understood its weight, and so did the aliens who had thought themselves untouchable. Silence became their lesson. Messages arrived from allies and former adversaries alike. "We will respect the accords," one read. "We will not test humanity again," another said. Humanity had reminded the galaxy of its strength, not brute force, but the authority of honor enforced without bloodshed. On Earth, Zhao and Reyes attended the memorial for Solace. Names were read aloud, prayers whispered in multiple languages. Humanity mourned without malice. Pride lingered, yes, but tempered by sorrow. They had acted, but at the cost of grief that would never fade. Reyes looked up at the stars and thought of the universe as a vast ledger, every choice weighed against another. "We enforced justice," he murmured. "We did not break our humanity, even as we made them understand its price." In distant sectors whispers traveled. Tales of humans who struck without cruelty, yet with unstoppable authority, spread like fire. The story of a single White Cross ship, a shattered moon, and the restraint wielded with absolute precision became legend. And so humanity endured, not because it was strongest, but because it was relentless in principle, capable of mercy and consequence alike. The galaxy remembered. The humans remembered. And in that memory, Solace sailed forever, in light, in honor, and in unwavering resolve.